All right, good morning, team. We have more good news on the interest rate front. Again, nothing crazy is happening, but what is happening is very good. And so, from an interest rate standpoint, if you're a fan of lower interest rates, which in my world you kind of are, and we know that it has driven the real estate market almost to insanity, but it is something that is important to a lot of people. And we talked about how it can be more of a psychological thing than a realistic thing, but it is a big deal. I do want to show you something today. So today we're going to take a little stroll down memory lane. VA Home Loan Specialist Derrick Evans here, NMLS 155010. Let's get the disclaimer out the way. So let's take a look at this here. This is mortgage bond chart. Now I show you this. Usually we just look at sort of the recency, what's going on the last month or so. This is going back a year. So this is going back to the beginning of March. And the reason why I want to do this is because I want to put something in perspective here so we can kind of see the significance of what's happening right now. And are we about to have the great mortgage rate rebound where we come back up to the channels that we've been in this entire year, this entire COVID process, basically? Is that possible? And should we expect it? And just kind of what will it take to do that? So let's take a look at this here. Again, this is mbshighway.com. Barry Habib's website, subscription website. So you can see over here in the far left, all this action over here, this stuff, this was COVID, right? This is 2 weeks of hell. We thought that the global economy was dead. We thought that we were all screwed. We thought that rates were going to 5%. Look at those candles. Look at them. They even going down into my picture-in-picture here. They're so crazy. And this is the same chart that we've been looking at here, the 2.5% coupon. These days were nuts. But look at how it took 10 business days, and then look, the Fed bridged the gap. They came in to save the day. They bought all these bonds, and they actually allowed this sort of uptrend to continue. And then we stayed in this channel here, for a long time, right? These aren't exactly straight lines, but let's just call it that. All right, something like that. Yeah. So we're in that channel there. And let's call the bottom of this channel for VA 2.875 or 2.75, and let's call the top here 2.25. So we stayed in this channel here where rates just sort of ping pong back and forth and kind of stayed in these realms. And you had great opportunities to lock at all of these stages right here. I mean, these were the best, absolute best opportunities. But rates were just tremendous through this whole period. Then if we go in here and we actually zoom back out, and what's great about Barry's site here is that you can get a lot of different time frames. But let's go ahead and just talk about this year. So this is this year. This year we had a downtrend in place that began here. We talked about this one, and then it accelerated and went here, and we just broke through that this week. So this is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, today. So this is live action. I'm doing this earlier today because I have a lot going on this afternoon, but wanted to get the update in. And here's what's going on. So we got, this is a small candle from yesterday, but it was a positive one. So I'm still floating all the purchases from Monday that weren't locked last week on Thursday. These are still floating, and you're seeing we're gaining some ground. Now, it's not a ton, right? But it's something. So, we've gone from this 102.28 to now we're at 102.98. So 70 basis points. 70 basis points is enough if you locked at the absolute wrong time to potentially get a float down. So that's enough movement to really be a difference maker if you were, exactly at the wrong so far. Now we're up 6 basis points today, so nothing crazy is happening here. But I do think we kind of have a free run right up to this first resistance level, which is going to be another 35 basis points or so. So I do still think it makes sense to float depending upon how the action ends up today. But you can see we really need to get back the channel that we just drew over there with my not so straight lines is right here. So that's not that far off. Not that far off. Maybe 103.75 right there. Yeah, about 103.75, right where this resistance is. If we can get there, we are in really good shape. And if we can break through there, we're back in the game, baby. So it's on the roadmap. If we were going to have a recovery in rates that take us back to the lows we've experienced, this is kind of what it would have to look like. And we're going to have some down days in there. And for people who are in contract right now, you have some decisions to make about when to lock and what your lock strategy is going to look like. Lock strategy is a super, super important piece of the puzzle. This is why I peel back the curtain and show rate sheets, and we discuss all this with everybody, because you really want to know what's going on here. And ultimately, you're locking a loan in that you're going to have for potentially 30 years. You want to make sure that you're optimizing that situation. So if we look at the big picture, when we zoomed back out, where we are right now, it's not nearly as bad as it was when COVID hit. In fact, right when we started recovering, you can see we're at the same line. The support level that we're seeing today, this line right here, that carries all the way over to here, was created just after the recovery of COVID. So we're essentially bouncing off the recovery period here, entry, and I think there's room for it to go higher. I think there's room for rates to go lower, potentially. I mean, I could be wrong, but I do think there's room for it to happen, and I'm hopeful that it will. That said, anything can happen, so be careful, especially if you're in contract. If you're refinancing, you have my blessing to float for a while if you want to. If you have no hurry at all and you're not worried about it, if you lose it and rates go up, you're like, so be it, then you have my permission to float here. If you're purchasing and you're in contract, you're going to want to watch this closely. If you're out there you're looking to purchase right now, and you're worried about the interest rate, don't be. Don't be worried about the interest rate. And the reason is because the interest rate shouldn't have an impact on whether you purchase or not necessarily. You're still going to have a great rate. Rates are still great. That's not going to be something that is going to be a huge difference maker in the payment for you or in what the seller is going to do. It's really not going to change much if you're ready to buy a home. But if you are refinancing, that could be a little different. If you're already in contract, you need to pay close attention right here. But there is some good news. And it's been a long time. I mean, we've had a month straight of getting shellacked in the mortgage bond market. So we've got some good news here. We've got some good chart formations. Just wanted to pass that along. Nothing crazy has happened yet. We haven't revisited the lows or anything. But if we were going to get back there, we would need to be charting a course like the one that we are currently on. So if it's going to happen, it's going to look like this. And that was the key thing I want to get across today. All right, guys, I got to get back to it. If you have questions about the VA home loan, please give me a call or a text or an email. That is what I'm here for, helping veterans refi or buy using the VA home loan benefit. Thank you so much for your time. Share this video if it helps someone that you know or you'd like to make them smarter than everyone else. I'll see you guys soon.